this game at St James's Park, where Newcastle, you could say, probably edged it over the 90 minutes, and they led twice in the game, but twice were pegged back.
Yeah, I thought Spurs showed a tremendous character, really, because it hasn't been going their way. They weren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they had a captain and a leader that grabbed that game by the scruff of the neck tonight. 2 great goals. Certainly the first one was a world-class diving header. The second one is a bit of a shinaldo. But, you know, you don't care, you'll take them. And it's exactly what they needed. It was contentious the second half. Half-time, we're begging for viewers. Yeah. By the end of it, people are tuning in and everything's happening, and it got exciting. There was contentious decisions, there was excitement. Newcastle gave it all. But Spurs, in fairness, got back into the game and they showed real character.
And somebody said at half-time, if anybody was watching our coverage instead of watching the Fulham City game, they will have noticed that you said Spurs are not going to be happy to see Guimarães come on.
No, I mean, yeah, it's not the biggest statement in the world, but he is just a fantastic...
Well, you've got to say it.
Well, he's a great player, Kelly. You know, there's difference makers in football, and he's certainly one of them. One of the things I will say with Tottenham in terms of their setup, I'm just going to highlight him here. You can see Guimarães now. Everyone, there's too far. You've got to see Benson Kerr's got with Joe Linton. Sarr, I think, should engage a little bit more. Brendan Johnson is probably thinking about Miley. But you can't give a player this much space because it has an effect on it. Anthony Gordon, another sub. Once he gets that ball, he's got one thought on his mind: I'm just going to run you, Porro, and he does that. And then the ball, they do really well. Voltemada's involved as well. But look at this freedom that he's got here. Voltemada, I'm not sure if it's Danso Voltemada gets that touch, but that finish is exquisite. It's such a difficult one because he's coming in at a really difficult angle. That he wants the ball here, he doesn't get it, and then all of a sudden I'm after the next one. Now nobody's picking it. And once that ball falls to him, he just opens up his body really well, squares up that side foot that he's got, and just guides it into the corner with pure venom. This is a really good angle. Look at how he comes onto the ball here. As it comes in, it gets reversed to him. Now look at the angle. He has to sort of open his body up and then smashes that into corner. It gives Vicario no chance whatsoever. And
that's
absolutely
there,
brilliant,
Jamie. Normally you think you go in instep and bend it one way, sort of gone across the ball.
And he gets
to get the
power
bend
behind it as well, which is so difficult to do, Mike. A really good goal.
No, it was outstanding.
The equaliser, in fact, both goals from Romero were very good goals as well. This one, a little bit more of a classic. It's the first time we scored a couple of goals in a game for Newcastle. Wow.
I'm going to I'll highlight it here for you, Michael, because there was obviously, they'd had a corner, Tottenham, and the captain said, I'm staying up for this, doesn't he?
I think it's just his movement here, where the ball comes, he doesn't want to engage and go on the ball and do a set. He wants to draw Dan Burn one way so he can go at the near post. You see strikers doing this week in, week out, but for a defender to be doing this, it's absolutely brilliant. Look at your position in there. I mean, if we could just take that back a little bit there, Jamie. If you just look at Romero's position there.
There he is. Yeah, got you.
This is incredible play because what he's trying to do now, he sees the numbers. When you're a defender, basically, that's the last thing that you want. And they're thinking, it's a defender up front. We've got no problems here. And as we move it on so slightly, he gets into a position now where he gets the space. Kudos, the ball has to be perfect. But he just now is in a position where he's got all this space and he's going to get the first connection. It's about who wants it more. And tonight, he certainly did. Really good performance from him.
That is bravery at its best. Look at him here. Dan Burn's throwing his left foot at it. He's throwing his head at it. Now, we've seen some great diving headers in the Premier League. Robin van Persie springs to mind. Some really great headers. And that is up there with the best of them. He gets across him. He's aggressive. Like you said, he gets into Dan Burn's blind spot and then he just nips in front of him and it is a brilliant header. And that's the sort of player he is. You know, you see him at the end. He's fiery. Him and Guimarães are having a row. And he's really... I wasn't always his biggest fan, but I must admit he has certainly grown on me.
You said earlier the penalty decision was contentious. Before we look at it, just to put everybody in the right frame of mind, this is what the referee and what the officials are going to be looking at. They want to know if there's sustained or impactful holding. They want to know clear impact on the opponent's opportunity to play or challenge, clear extreme non-footballing action with impact on the opponent's movement, not looking at the ball, and this is something that they're particularly focusing on this season, only focusing on the opponent and not challenging for the ball, or holding an opponent with both arms. So they're looking for any combination of these criteria. Let's look at it and see if we think that they were met in terms of this challenge on Dan Burn.
Well, in terms of not looking at the ball, that fits the criteria. And when we had the discussions with the Premier League, that's something that they were going to take into consideration. put enough holding there. Dan Burn is just too strong for him. Benton Kerr, it holds him for a little while, make sure he can't get the run on him. And then now, Burns all over Benton Kerr. So I don't understand. The referee made a really good decision in not giving it. It goes to VAR, it's put doubt in his mind, and then he's going to have to give it.
But look at Dan Burn, he's not even complaining. He gets up now, he just makes his hands up as if to say it's a gesture. Referee, come on, what's going on here? He's not once got up with any kind of aggression to say to the referee, what are you... Now, is he holding him? Is he impeding him? Yes, possibly. But we see this week in, week out. The referee then gets involved. This is just before the corner's taken and said, look, guys, I don't want to see any holding. But he never once got involved after that. And then the VAR does decide to step in. But where is the consistency? We see this game in, game out, every single week in the Premier League, and they don't get given. Now, if that's going to be the threshold and penalties are going to be given for that, OK, no problem. But we want consistency, Kelly, and that isn't consistency there.
Do you not think there is an argument to say that there is sustained holding, if not particularly forceful holding, but sustained holding, and that it does impact Dan Burns' ability to play or impact the ball?
Look, he's not watching the ball, and look, they are having a definite wrestle, but it's both of them, Micah. And then Dan's sort of leaning forward, trying to make it as elaborate as he possibly can. I don't see that as a penalty because I see a lot worse week in, week out that aren't given. So if we're going to have this, then the VAR and the referees have to give us this consistency. I don't like the way Benton Kerr has defended that situation. If I'm totally, I think that once you're not looking at the ball, it makes it difficult. I always like to see defenders at least being able to do both. But he takes that approach. But that's how Spurs defended those corners. And Dan Burn is an absolute handful. But I think you're right, Micah. I just don't see that as a penalty.
Holding, Kells, but not sustained holding. I mean, it's not enough.
Okay.
It shouldn't be given.
Nevertheless, it was given, and the penalty was Anthony Gordon. Always confident it was going in?
No, no, but he's a very good player, Anthony. Isn't he? It was just, there was a little, I was just more interested to see, because when a player comes on a sub, will he take it? He scored 2 out of his last 3.
But that's his first Premier League goal.
Yeah, he took it really well, and I like to see that kind of confidence. You know, he's a confident boy, Anthony, but I wondered if, Guimarães would have taken it or Voltemada, but no, they went with him, and he took it with aplomb.
Yeah, took it well, and they were 2-1 up, and then you think Newcastle probably edged the game. That would be a result, but Spurs and Cristian Romero had something to say about it.
Wow. What a finish this is. He sort of shins it, but it's how high he gets, and then there's confusion in the box. You see this in this angle here. I mean, there was pulling going on there. Ramsdale punches it, and then it just goes to the side of Chow, and then...
Well, it goes through Chow's legs, I think, Micah. Or just to the side of him, does it?
Just to the side of him, and then Ramsdale can't react in time. Soft goal to concede. But it's a great moment for Romero. We talked about Spurs beforehand. Just do the job. I mean, we didn't expect him to do this job.
It's not the cleanest of strikes.
It's not.
Do you think Thomas Franks cares one bit whatsoever?
I mean, they were possibly, given what had happened with the other penalty, by the way, looking at an incident in this before the ball goes in the net, which kind of takes the decision away from the refereeing team. Do you think they'd have been looking at this?
Well, I mean, if you look at there, Romero bringing Chow down, it's similar.
But look how quickly he gets up and then does this. Incredible improvisation. Look, yeah, there was a little bit of luck. It gets his shin.
But Spurs have deserved a little bit of luck.
They have.
At times. You know it was going to be a difficult game today. We said beforehand, and it was about character spirit, because there was wobbling in that first half. In the second half, they got the 2 goals, and fair play to them.
Let's hear what Cristian Romero made of both his goals.
Cristian, talk us through the goal. The first goal, it was a really important one, and then, of course, you got that second one right at the end as well. But the first goal, talk us through that.
No, it's very important. In the last maybe 3-4 games, the team not good enough, but I love today the mentality. Play like this all together, yeah, go again. It's difficult. It's difficult time, but especially in this game, I love the mentality.
The second goal, when that went in to make it 2-2, what were your feelings when that goal went into the back of the net?
No, train every day with Leo, Messi there in national team. Watch him, yeah, it's a beautiful goal.
Yeah, I mean, if you train with Leo Messi, you're probably going to be all right, aren't you? You pick up a few tips from him.
I train with Salah. Well, you changed the bands, didn't you?
That was
But
great.
look, you mentioned about the result showing Spurs grit and determination. And because, I mean, I think probably you could park the PSG game because they were so good and Spurs did put in a decent performance for a long part of that game. But particularly coming off the back of like the North London derby, it was Spurs fans wanted to see a response. Do you think they got it in this game?
Well, they got it in terms of the result, for sure. And it was it's always difficult to go there. You know, after Newcastle had such a good result the weekend, it was going to be difficult. You had to manage the crowd, you had to stay in the game. And they had to fight. They're having a fight with themselves at the moment, Tottenham Hotspur, because of pressure and everything that's going with it. So they needed to show some character. They needed to show a bit of desire. And that's sometimes when a leader comes to the front, and it's your captain. Because the goalkeeper, we thought both did really well today, Vicario, because he's had a really rotten weekend. He had to hang in there. So I think they did well, and it's something now to build on. But there's no point producing a performance where you get a good point like that and then against Brentford not showing again. You've got to now go on the front foot a little bit. If I'm Thomas Frank if he wants to start to get a bond with the Tottenham fans, they need to see a bit more attacking football. You know, Romero showed the way there in terms of that finish and the way his movement is. That's how I mean, Thomas Frank's probably thinking about playing him up front. I mean, because that's what they need a bit more of. But it's a good result for them today, and that will certainly just dampen that noise that was just surrounding Tottenham and the manager. But they've got to make sure they capitalise on it at the weekend.
So if it's dampening down the noise around Tottenham, let's hear what it's done for Newcastle. Eddie Howe is with Peen.
Eddie, it's a point apiece. How do you reflect on that performance tonight?
Don't think it was us at our best today, but we battled into a position that we wanted, obviously with a few minutes left, and we just couldn't defend that corner at the end. Yeah, disappointing feeling having worked so hard.
It took a while for the goals to come, but it felt like Newcastle had quite a lot of the control. There were a lot of chances as well. Did you feel like you had that the whole game?
Pretty much, yeah. I thought we were in the ascendancy. I think we had, as you say, some good chances in the game. It felt like the goal was slow in coming for us. We battled in the first half to try and break the deadlock. The keeper made a couple of really good saves. I don't think it was us at our very best, especially in the attacking half. But as I say, we did enough. We got ourselves in the winning position, and we just needed to defend the corner better.
The changes that you made, of course, Bruno Guimarães coming on at half-time clearly made a difference because his goal was brilliant. Just a word on his performance tonight.
Yeah, he did very well. I mean, his goal was an outstanding finish. I'd like to see it again because obviously I'm at the wrong angle for it, but it's flown into the corner. I thought he made a difference. His energy, his enthusiasm and his passion is always stand out for us. And yeah, I think he made a big difference.
There was obviously a big call in the game as well with the penalty. Did you expect it to be overturned and called as a penalty?
Difficult because I hadn't seen it. I'm just actually seeing it on the screen there as we're talking. And I think the big thing is the defender doesn't look at the ball at all. He's just looking it down, and I think it's probably the right call.
Anthony Gordon with the penalty as well, really confident as well when he took it, and it was a really good strike.
Yeah, I was really pleased with his impact. I think he definitely changed the dynamic, energy, pace, directness. He's put a lovely couple of crosses in for us and took his penalty really well. So a good little cameo for Ant.
Ultimately, though, you go away with a point. The goals that went against you, 2 goals by Cristian Romero, what did you make of the first equaliser and then, of course, right at the end to have that win taken away from you?
Yeah, we're disappointed with the first one. It looks just quite a standard cross, and we haven't defended it well enough. The second one, at that stage of the game, they're piling men in the box. Don't think we did well enough with the first contact, and then we didn't stop the overhead kick. And I haven't seen it again, but somehow it's gone in, and it's a painful one for us to reflect on and take.
Eddie, thank you very much for your time.
A measured response there from Eddie Howe, and he felt that certainly in the attacking third they weren't at their very best, Newcastle. What do you make of that result from their perspective?
I think he'd be really disappointed, obviously, because you're leading twice in a game. He made a substitution. I'm a big fan of Eddie Howe's, but he made a substitution when he brings on Shah for Miley, and I'm not. I know people say, well, you're trying to hang on to the game. It's another defender, another big body in there. But I feel sometimes what that does is it almost gets players in each other's way. And you can see that felt like a consequence. You've defended corners all game. Now, Lewis Miley is a big guy. He can handle these situations. Everyone knows their jobs. Now, all of a sudden, someone else comes into it. And his first thought in his mind, I think, Fabian Shah, is, I'm just going to win this. And then collisions can happen. And I felt that's what a consequence of that goal. So sometimes bringing on a substitute just to hang on to the game doesn't always work. Sometimes it can have a negative effect because you're going okay, you're hanging on to the game. Like the flip side is they can see the corner and you can say, why didn't I make that change? But I don't always like substitutions like that. And he'll be disappointed, but there are a lot of positive signs. You know, I look at Newcastle and until they get Visser back and they can get that bit of pace and, you know, in that wide area, there's no doubt he's going to be an excellent signing for them. That's how we're really going to start to judge them, I think, Micah.
Yeah, agreed. But I've got to go to a break, so do you want to take us?
Oh, you're all right, thanks.
Sorry, I
was going to let you talk. Don't worry about it.
There's plenty of time.
Yeah.
What do you got to say? What do you think?
Do you know what Micah's trying to rush to?
I want to get to City.
Micah's trying to rush to City. We'll get to the bottom of this eventually.
2 in the end, a point to take. What did that performance from your side show you tonight?
I think it showed fantastic mentality and character. Every team need that. It's been a tough week. I think that's fair to say. We played the 4th game in 10 days, 3rd away game. We're going away to St James, to Newcastle St James Park, which is always a difficult place to come. And the courage and mentality the players showed throughout the game was great. I think the first 25 minutes we suffered, but you need to suffer up here at times. After that, I think grew into the game. I think last 60, I'm very happy with that performance overall. And the bounce back mentality, both overall but also in the game, the ability to react to setback was great. First 1-0 down and then 2-1 down, where I think it's absolutely a big mistake from the VAR. I think Thomas the ref did very well to do the ref call, and they encourage the refereeing call on the pitch. So for me, that's never a penalty. So that late to still come back just shows a lot. So very happy with that. I think our fans were excellent. 3,000 fans traveling up here. It's a Tuesday night. It's everything we could hear them throughout the game. Also the way they supported Vic throughout the game. I like that a lot.
When you look at the 2 goals from Cristian Romero, of course, they were important goals because each time it was an equaliser. But just how important of a player is he, and what will that do for his confidence as well?
Yeah, I know Kuti is a top player. We all know that. And I think overall his performance today was very good. I think he was very strong defensively. Won a lot of duels with Waldemar. But also adding 2 goals. I think the first header is excellent striker goal. I haven't seen many strikers score like that.
2 shots on target, 2 goals as well, which of course were 2 very important goals to get you that point. And you mentioned there the determination. Is this what you were looking for, this kind of reaction that you wanted to see after recent performances?
Yeah, but I think, recent performance, I think there's one thing. I think actually the PSG performance was very, very good in many ways. I think there was some very good bits in the Fulham performance as well. Today we had 60 minutes, very good, so it still need to be 90. But I think the overall extra determination is what we need when you have a tough spell.
Thank you very much for your time. Well done today. See you soon. Bye.
St James Park witnessed pure Premier League madness today. Newcastle looked set to take all 3 points. Spurs barely created anything, and yet Cristian Romero, of all people, produced one of the most chaotic captain's performances you'll see all season. 2 shots on target for Tottenham, both from their centre-back, both in the back of the net. Let's break down how Newcastle let this one slip away. The breakthrough finally came in the 71st minute, and it was all about Bruno Guimarães. Anthony Gordon drove aggressively to the byline, cut the ball back for Waldemar, and the striker smartly laid it off to the Newcastle captain. 1 touch, bottom corner, a beautiful first-time finish that left Vicario rooted. Bruno came on at half-time and immediately lifted the entire tempo, and Newcastle deserved their lead. But Tottenham struck back out of absolutely nowhere. Their first shot on target after 78 minutes, and it was a beauty. Kudus whipped in a clever low cross, and Cristian Romero, still forward from the previous attack, launched himself into a brilliant diving header, guiding it into the bottom right corner. Burn couldn't stop him, Ramsdale couldn't reach it, totally against the run of play. Spurs level, Newcastle pushed again and earned a penalty 8 minutes from time. Tottenham were furious. The contact looked soft, but Anthony Gordon didn't care. He stepped up and smashed the spot kick into the right side of the net as Vicario dived the wrong way. Relief for the home fans. Anger for the away end. Newcastle back in front at 2-1. And then, with the final attack of the game, chaos. Pure chaos. A corner came swinging in. Ramsdale tried to punch it clear, but the ball looped straight up into the air. In the crowded 6-yard box, Cristian Romero, yes, the centre-back again, contorted his body and attempted an overhead kick. He didn't catch it cleanly. He shinned it. The ball bobbled, rolled through a sea of legs, and somehow crept over the line. Pandemonium. Spurs bench flying down the touchline. Newcastle stunned. 2 shots on target for Tottenham. 2 goals for their captain. Newcastle, somehow, had thrown the points away. Full time, Newcastle 2, Tottenham 2. This match will sting for Newcastle. A dominant performance undone by moments of defensive panic. For Spurs, it's a rescue mission led by an unlikely hero. Cristian Romero delivered like a world-class striker when his team needed him most. If you love dramatic Premier League storylines, make sure you're subscribed to SportLab. More tactical breakdowns, more crazy comebacks, and more football chaos every week.